Harm reduction is important because people that use drugs and alcohol, they're human beings.
Harm reduction is needed to save lives and should be implemented everywhere.
For me, it's about placing value on people, and a lot of people don't see the value in the people.
Because we're losing people on a daily basis.
It's not about caring, it's just showing someone love and compassion.
People will always use drugs, people will always use alcohol. So we have a duty really to treat this as a health issue, and we need to provide humanistic responses to that. So just make people feel like people. Kaleidoscope came with an understanding that people will use drugs and alcohol, and we need to just reduce the harm around that. Not everyone is ready to stop using drugs and alcohol when we feel that they should be ready to do that. So some people are, and for that cohort of people we need to provide services that support them to reintegrate into employment, volunteering, have some meaningful, productive activity. But for a lot of people, they're not at that point yet. So we have a duty really to treat this as a health issue, which means reduce the harms associated with drug and alcohol use. So that might be needle exchanges, bloodborne virus provision, sexual health, giving information around how to use safely. And that's harm reduction is built on an understanding that you know, we're here to support where you are at in your drug or alcohol use. Across all of Kaleidoscope services, we now run thriving peer programs. So a peer program is where someone who is currently using your services or has just left services comes back and provides those services alongside us.
Sometimes I make mistakes in my life, but I'm trying so hard to make it right. Even though sometimes I make mistakes in my life, life goes on and on and on.
For 8 years, I was in and out of hostels, tents, squats, you name it, I was there. But then I found out I was having my son in 2009, literally the end of 2009, and decided I was going to fight back. I've got 15 years in recovery. I don't say recovered because it's not a word we use, but I like to give a lot back to the people that helped me.
I met Jodie about 5 years ago, and she was very much finding her feet in this space, and now I look at her and she's working for the Hep C Trust and she's smashing it, and it just makes my heart sing really, seeing people not just change their lives but also the changes that they're bringing for other people and for their community is just really heartwarming.
My boy is 15 now, October, and I do as much as I can now in recovery to help people.
Sometimes I make mistakes in my life, life goes on and on.
10 years ago, we were looking for prisoners from Prescoid prison to come in and volunteer in drug and alcohol services. So these were primarily people who had offending histories linked to drug and alcohol use. So I went up to Prescoid and interviewed Elwyn, who was still a serving prisoner.
Driving me really insane, 'cause somebody could do to her what I did back in the days.
I was involved in drugs at 14-year-old. My first prison sentence was at 15-year-old. At 49, 130 ml of methadone, I decided I wanted my life back. Kaleidoscope gave me that opportunity.
He's active in the research community, so he inputs into national pieces of research, and the co-production conference that we had in March in Cardiff at the depot was testament to Elwyn and his team's, shout out Vic, their commitment to providing a national forum where peers and people with lived and living experience come together to celebrate.
When the work is done and I see people who have worked on their social skills, when they're around positive people, it raises their self-esteem, it raises their self-worth. When we work with people who access our services, it gives them access into training as a thank you for the volunteering and the work that they do within their communities, which then allows for things like self-actualization, where they can be the best they can be, they can do the best that they can do. And I then see that the communities change the perception, and running that alongside a drug treatment programme reintegrates people back into society, and that is where the magic happens then. So in that short time where the people get jobs, where the people just want to volunteer and run a drop-in, that's where that magic happens, and for me that's the most fulfilling part of that, people getting their lives back.
I first smoked heroin at the age of 13. By the time I was 14, I was an IV heroin user, using up to like 6, 8, 10 times a day, and that lasted up until I was the age of 40.
Our Vinny, again, when he started to volunteer, he didn't have the competency that he has today, and I think it's been a doorway for people like Vinny and Jodie. So they've come in, they've done the peer programme, they've volunteered, and now they're working for the Hep C Trust.
I seen, you know, a few of the guys around town that I'd been on my journey with, and they were looking healthy, and they were, you know, you could see they had like a bit of purpose and a bit of bounce in the step, they had colour in their cheeks, they were doing really well. And I approached one, and you know, he kind of planted a seed in me that, you know, my whole journey up until that point was, you know, my lived experience. I'd never ever heard that term, you know, and the more I thought about it, you know, we all think we can write a book, but I thought, fucking hell, like everything that I've been through has finally like kind of led me here, you know, where I didn't want to take drugs anymore, I didn't want to hurt anybody anymore, I didn't want to go back to prison, I didn't want to die, you know, and I knew, you know, deep down, you know, I would have loved someone to help me who just got it.
I think it's important that we recognise that peers who come in and do our peer programmes and receive training, they don't have to stay in this field or in this sector specifically. They've got transferable skills now to go out and change lives in other sectors, and in Jodie and Vinny's case, that's with the Hep C Trust, which is vital work.
The more volunteering I did, you know, the more work I did on myself, and I learned to really kind of value myself and, you know that I had kind of like, you know, lived experience and integrity, and, you know, of all that pain and trauma and suffering and all them really dark, horrible places that nobody wants to go, that was my superpower, you know.
I think in every drug and alcohol user you will find an almost inherent want and need to give back to other people. So we're giving them an opportunity to use that inherent desire to do something good for the community and to help people that aren't where they are now, and it's that appreciation of people who are still out there struggling, what that feels like, and they really genuinely want to give back and to help people.
My dad was a dealer, my mum was a dealer, so from an early age you know, drugs was just around me. The people we're dealing with are really, some of them are really vulnerable in a bad way, and people like myself who have been in the same scenarios of them, you know, homeless, mental health issues, someone who's been there understands it really well.
I was a frontline worker back when Mick was, you know, not in the place that he's in now, and he's just a totally different person. He's grown in confidence. When I worked with him, he would not look people in the eye, and I know when he first started to become a peer, he wouldn't have his picture taken. And now he's in a lot of pictures and he's on stages giving his personal story, and that's real goosebump feelings, isn't it? It's lovely.
A couple of years ago, there was a young lady, I can't think of the name of her off the top of my head, but anyway, there was a young lady who needed support because she was in quite a bad place. She needed someone to go to a hospital with her, support her, and yeah, I kind of built up a relationship with her, and I supported her over a few months. About 9 months, a year later, I was walking through town on my way home, and she ran up to me, and this young lady, she looked totally different. She'd put on weight, she had colour in her face, and she said thank you. And you know, just the fact that she said thank you, you know, I was a small part in her journey, but you know, it meant a lot that she built up a relationship with her family again. She was back living, she was working. So, you know, through the support of me, yeah, she kind of got her life back in order. And thank you was enough, yeah.
I feel like my story isn't really contemporary anymore, and I much prefer listening to others, people who are here listening to their stories that are far more current. I was a heroin and crack cocaine user for 15 years, and I came to Wales in 2005, very early in you know, the time of my life where I'd stopped using drugs, and applied for a job at Kaleidoscope. Really didn't think that they would give me a break, because I just thought, you know, I think the job was it was providing support with people and dispensing methadone, and I'd not long been on a methadone script. I'd been on quite a few scripts in my life, and I thought as soon as they heard this, that they would just say, no, we can't now give you a job dispensing methadone, but they didn't, which said a lot to me about the organisation that I joined. They didn't judge me by my past, they judged me on who I was at the point of that interview. So they gave me a break at a time where I wasn't getting many breaks because I'd burned a lot of bridges, and I was very stigmatised in my own community back home, which is why I came to Wales. And then from then on, I found a family, really. I didn't have anything when I came to Wales. I had no job, I had no CV, I had a criminal record. I didn't have friends, I had no family here. And it was almost like Kaleidoscope took me in, if it were. So I started work, and I worked really hard because I wanted to give back to this organisation that had given me a break. And yeah, and there started a 19-20 year career with Kaleidoscope that's culminated in me now being the CEO, which is something that still gives me goosebumps when I think about that as a concept, that, you know, they're trusting me for the next 10 years to lead this organisation. Yeah, it's something that is really special to me. I think the wider population need to see the benefits in harm reduction. So if we're providing needle exchanges, that's decreasing the amount of drug litter on the streets. If we're providing drug consumption rooms, that's decreasing the amount of drug-related deaths. That could be someone's son, brother, uncle, sister, mother. And Yeah, in terms of reliance on emergency services. Every time someone on the street experiences an overdose, ambulance has got to be called. That costs money, so that has an effect on the public purse, which is why funding services like Kaleidoscope is important, and there is a future investment there. It's just trying to convince people to see a future investment. I think largely people want to see that investment now. But ultimately it saves lives, and can affect generations to come.